hit you with something most men never hear and most will never understand. Women don't remember the nice guy. They remember the man who made them feel something. And that feeling, it's not always butterflies. Sometimes it's chaos. Sometimes it's confusion. But always it's impact. You've been told to be safe, to be sweet, to be stable. But tell me this, where has that gotten you? Forgotten, ghosted, filed away as a good guy. Meanwhile, the man who broke every rule, he's still living run-tree in her mind. See, here's the uncomfortable truth no one wants to say out loud. Women remember the men who challenged them, who sparked emotion, who awakened parts of their mind and body they didn't even realize were craving stimulation. And no, it's not about money or looks. It's about presence, energy, that unshakable calm that says, I don't chase approval, I define it. Most men never figure this out. They operate in please her mode, thinking loyalty and patience are enough. But in the psychology of attraction, impact outweighs intention every single time. So, in this video, I'm going to break down 5 powerful things a man can do that women never forget. Not cliches, not predictable romance, but the kind of actions that strike deep psychologically, emotionally, even primal. If you're tired of being the man women move on from and ready to become the one they remember, obsess over, and never truly get over, listen closely, because once you understand this, you'll never see yourself or women the same way. Again, 1. He walks away without explaining. Here's something most men will never understand. Silence shakes a woman more than shouting ever could. See, women are used to men chasing them, apologizing, explaining, begging to be understood. That's what 99% of men do when tension rises. But the man, she never forgets. He doesn't explain. He doesn't overtalk. He just walks away calmly without warning, without closure. And that breaks her pattern because silence is power. Silence forces her to feel something she can't control, uncertainty. Most women are used to having the emotional upper hand. They know exactly how men will react. Beg, chase, prove, explain. But when a man refuses to play that script, when he quietly removes himself, she's left with nothing to respond to. And that silence becomes the loudest thing in the room. Suddenly she's the one replaying every word, every look, every pause. You're not just gone. You're echoing in her thoughts. This isn't about playing games. It's about emotional discipline, the ability to walk away from drama, disrespect, or manipulation without needing to prove your worth or seek validation. That calm detachment is rare, and because it's rare, it's unforgettable. Here's the truth. Most men never learn. A woman's mind never obsesses over what she understands, only what she can't. When you walk away without explaining, you become a question she can't answer, and that question keeps her hooked long after you've left. Let's make it real. Imagine this. She's pushing your buttons during an argument. Maybe she insults you. Maybe she plays cold and detached, trying to test you. The average man tries to fix it, talk it out, or worse, plead. But you pause. You look her dead in the eye and say, I'm not doing this. Then you leave. No yelling, no long texts, no dramatic exit, just gone. And you stay gone. You don't unblock her after 3 hours. You don't check her history. You don't come back to talk things through. You let silence do the work. And here's where the shift happens. The power dynamic flips. She's no the one replaying every word, wondering what she said, questioning why you're not reacting like every other man. That's when obsession begins. Not when you chase her, not when you confess, when you make her feel your absence. Because emotional distance creates psychological tension, and tension is the root of attraction. She might act unbothered. She might post something subtle, pretending she's fine, but inside her mind is spinning. And that quiet storm you created is what she'll never forget. See, most men leave chaos behind when they walk away, but the rare man leaves calmness and mystery. And that combination, it's magnetic. It's the difference between being forgotten and being imprinted in a mind forever. You don't need to Baloo to make an impact. You just need Toby still enough to make her wonder. Because when you master the art of leaving silently, you don't lose her attention. You own it. That's the first secret of unforgettable men. They don't fight for closure. They become the closure. And that energy, that discipline burns itself into her memory. Long after your words fade, your silence remains. 2. He makes her jealous without trying. Jealousy. It's one of the most powerful emotional triggers in the human mind, especially in a woman's psychology. It's primal. It's ancient. It's uncontrollable. The man she never forgets isn't the one who tries to make her jealous. It's the one who does it naturally simply by living a life that doesn't orbit around her. Here's the catch. Most men never see when you try to make her jealous. You look insecure, desperate, and obvious. And once she sees that, you lose your power. But when jealousy happens organically, when it's just a side effect of your value, it hits her harder than anything you could ever say. The man who leaves a mark doesn't brag about attention. He doesn't post for validation. He doesn't show off to get noticed. He simply lives with purpose. And the world notices him. Picture this. He walks into a room, calm, self-assured, magnetic. Women glance. They laugh at his jokes. They lean closer, touch his arm, compliment his energy. And the best part, he's not even trying. That natural magnetism, that quiet social proof is what burns in a woman's mind. Why? Because women are territorial with men they emotionally invest in. They can act indifferent, but deep down the thought of other women wanting you ignites something raw. A mix of fear, desire, and possessiveness. It's not about playing games. It's about being in demand. When your life is full, when you're focused on growth, mission, and excellence, women sense it. Your time becomes valuable. Your attention becomes scarce. And that scarcity triggers emotional urgency in her mind. You don't have to say other girls like me. She'll see it. She'll feel it. And the moment she does, her competitive instincts awaken. Now, here's where it gets fascinating. This isn't about disrespecting her. It's about letting her feel that you are a prize other people want. Because when a woman realizes you're not the only man she could have, she feels safe. But when she realizes she might not be the only woman you could have, she feels fear. And that fear, the fear of losing something valuable, is one of the strongest emotional hooks in female psychology. Let's make it real. You're at a social event. You're confident, engaging, not glued to her side. You're simply enjoying yourself. Other women laugh, touch your arm, hold eye contact a little too long. She sees it, and in that instant, something shifts. Later, she might tease you. You were really enjoying all that attention, huh? Most men would panic. They'd over-explain, apologize, reassure. But you smile and say, I didn't even notice. I was just having a good time. Then you change the subject, and that's where the magic happens. Your calmness disarms her. Your indifference frustrates her. And that emotional mix, curiosity, insecurity, desire, starts to spiral in her mind because now she's not sure if she has you. And that uncertainty is what keeps her thinking about you long after you're gone. Remember this: a woman doesn't fall for the man who's always available. She falls for the man she feels she could lose. That's what makes her chase. That's what makes her fight for your attention. That's what makes her remember you. You didn't insult her. You didn't manipulate her. You simply lived a life that radiates value and mystery. And when she realizes that your attention is earned, not given, that's when she starts earning it. Here's the paradox most men never grasp. The more you show her she's replaceable, the more irreplaceable you become. Because every time she sees another woman laughing at your words or noticing the calm confidence in your presence, she's reminded that you could walk away at any time. And that silent realization, that quiet thread of loss, burns into her subconscious, not as pain, but as memory, the kind that keeps her wondering, why him? Why can't I stop thinking about him? That's the moment you've entered her psychological loop, a space where emotion replaces logic. And once she's there, she doesn't just miss you, she needs you. Jealousy isn't the goal, impact is. And the men who create that kind of emotional impact without saying a word are the ones women never forget. 3. He triggers her emotional chaos. Every woman, no matter how confident, composed, or independent she appears, carries emotional chaos inside her. Even the calmest ones, even the ones who swear they're not like other girls. It's there, buried deep under layers of control, pride, and poise. And the man she never forgets is the one who activates that chaos. Not because he's toxic, not because he plays games, but because he awakens something real, something raw, something she spent her entire life trying to hide. Most men play it safe. They want to be her peace, her comfort zone, her nice guy. But the truth is, peace without passion is forgettable. You can be kind, you can be loyal, you can be everything she says she wants. But if she never feels anything intense when she's around you, you'll slowly fade from her memory. But the man who shakes her emotions, who makes her heart race, her mind spin, and her feelings collide, that man becomes unforgettable, because emotional chaos is emotional investment, and emotional investment is the seed of obsession. Think about it. When she's confused by you, when she's frustrated but still drawn to you, when she says, "I hate that I like you," that's when you've made an imprint on her psychology. Safe men don't do that. Predictable men chant. But the man who walks that razor's edge between warmth and distance, who gives her just enough to feel close, and then pulls back to make her miss it, that's the man who drives her wild. It's not cruelty, it's contrast, because emotion thrives in contrast. She can't feel passion if she's never felt uncertainty. She can't feel comfort if she's never felt distance. And she can't fall deeply for you unless she's first been shaken by you. When you create that emotional storm, that mix of tension, desire, curiosity, and confusion, you interrupt the autopilot. You force her to feel again. Suddenly, she's thinking about you when she shouldn't, checking your messages, even when she swears she's done, asking herself why she can't get you out of her head. And that's the chaos. That's the emotional conflict that binds her to you, not logically but biologically. Because when a woman is emotionally stimulated, her brain releases dopamine, the same chemical that fuels addiction. Every high, every argument, every unresolved tension becomes another hit. You've now turned from a person into a pattern, a loop she can't escape. That's why she talks about you to her friends even after months. That's why she stalks your social media at midnight, even when she's dating someone else. You've triggered her deeper layers, the primal ones, where logic doesn't matter and emotions run the show. She might roll her eyes at you one moment and miss you the next. She might say, "I don't even know what wear," but still refuse to let you go. That's not confusion. That's connection on a psychological level. Because here's a dark truth. A woman doesn't always crave peace. She craves aliveness. The feeling that something is happening, that her emotions are being pulled, twisted, and awakened. And when you can do that without losing your own center, when you can make her feel deeply while staying calm, grounded, and mysterious, you become the experience she compares every man after you to. You become the exception. See, emotional chaos isn't about being unstable. It's about being unpredictable in a world full of routine. Most men are easy to read. Their words match their actions. Their energy never changes. But the man she never forgets keeps her guessing. He's warm one day, quiet the next. Attentive when he chooses to be, unavailable when he needs to be. Not because he's manipulative, but because he has a life, a mission, and emotional control. That unpredictability is what makes him magnetic. Because in a world where every man chases comfort, he becomes the storm. She might fight it, she might deny it, but deep down, she'll never shake the memory because she won't remember what you said. She'll remember how you made her feel. And feelings, unlike words, don't fade. They echo. They haunt. They replay long after you're gone. 4. He sets rules she must follow. The men women never forget. Not the ones who chase approval. They're the ones who set the standard. In today's world, too many men are walking on eggshells, afraid to offend, afraid to lose her, afraid to be alone. So they tolerate disrespect, overlook red flags, stay quiet just to keep the peace. And then they wonder why she loses interest, why she stops respecting them, why she forgets them as easily as yesterday's post. But a man who sets rules, clear boundaries, firm standards, instantly separates himself from the noise. He doesn't need to control her. He simply leads with clarity. See, a woman's respect isn't earned through constant compromise. It's earned through consistency and consequence. You tell her what you expect. Honesty, respect, effort. You don't shout. You don't threaten. You inform calmly, decisively. And when she crosses the line, you don't beg for change. You walk away. That quiet strength, that self-respect, is magnetic. Here's the secret few men grasp. Women don't hate rules. They crave structure, not because they want to be controlled, but because clear standards tell her one vital truth. This man values himself. When you enforce your standards, you're not limiting her. You're defining your worth. She might test you. Every woman does. She'll push to see if the frame will hold. And when it does, when you stay centered, unshaken, respect turns to admiration. That's when she begins to rise to your level. You've now created polarity. Masculine stability meets feminine emotion. She can feel safe yet still, challenged, grounded, yet still intrigued. The weak man confuses love with tolerance. The strong man understands that boundaries are love, because without boundaries, there is no direction, and without direction, there is no desire. Picture it. She disrespects your time, shows up late, breaks her word. Most men smile through it, pretending it's fine. You say once calmly, "I value consistency. If that's a problem we don't fit, then you keep living your life. No anger, no drama, just standards. She'll think about that moment later, not because you scolded her, but because you were willing to lose her, rather than lose your integrity. That kind of man is rare, and rarity is unforgettable. When you set rules with keen authority, you become something few women ever experience. A man she trusts to lead. You're not another follower in her orbit. You're the gravity she moves around. And here's the paradox. The stricter your boundaries, the freer she feels within them, because they create stability. They create respect, and respect is the foundation of attraction. So if you're a good man, stop apologizing for it. Stop shrinking to fit modern weakness. The world needs strong, emotionally grounded, self-respecting men. And women, whether they admit it or not, remember them forever. Because boundaries don't push her away, they pull her deeper in. She'll never forget the man who refused to bend, who made her earn his presence, who held his line when every other man broke. That's not arrogance. That's value. So if you want to be unforgettable, stop trying to be liked. Start demanding respect. Set the rules. Stick to them. Let her rise to your standard. Because a real woman doesn't forget the man who knew his worth and made her prove she deserved it. 5. He shows love then disappears. Nothing burns deeper into a woman's memory than a man who showed her something real and then vanished. We're not talking about manipulation, not ghosting, not childish games. This is about impact, the kind that rewires your emotions. It's the disappearance after depth that haunts her. Most men never reach that depth. They either hold back out of fear or they overstay until the mystery dies. But the rare man lets you see his world, his mind, his vulnerability, his focus, then steps back into silence. And that silence hits her like withdrawal. Why? Because she's tasted presence. The energy of a man who listens with his eyes, not just his ears, who makes time slow down when he's near, who carries peace and danger in the same breath. You didn't fake connection. You were connection. And then you were gone. That absence becomes a mirror. It forces her to feel the space you once filled. Cher plays conversations. She searches for closure. She wonders what she did wrong. But you never explain because nothing needs explaining. You showed her what it felt like to be seen, truly seen. And then you reminded her that not every man who sees her stays. That lesson scars her beautifully. Understand this. Love leaves a trace, but loss engraves it. You're not punishing her. You're teaching her value. You're showing her that connection without attachment is possible. That real love doesn't beg to be owned. When you disappear, she compares every man after you to the energy you carried. They might be more available, more expressive, even more right, but they'll never feel like you because you weren't a boyfriend. You were an experience. You left her with the memory of a calm storm and no map back to it. That's why she might act unbothered, might say you meant nothing, but the truth sits underneath. She's still trying to replace a feeling, not a person. The paradox is powerful. It isn't the man who stays the longest who's remembered. It's the man who made her feel something infinite, then vanished. The one who left quietly, with no bitterness, no explanations, just silence that kept echoing. And long after the pain softens, long after she's convinced herself she's over it, she'll still think of you when she hears that song, sees that place, feels that kind of peace again. You awakened something that time can't erase. Because memory doesn't hold on to faces, it holds on to impact. And the man who can love fully, then disappear with dignity, becomes more than a memory. He becomes a myth. The story she tells when she says, "There was this one man once. I don't know why, but I still feel him." That's the highest level of emotional power. Not control, not dominance, but imprint. So remember this, gentlemen. You don't need to be loud to be legendary. You just need to be real, then rare. Because when you show love then disappear, you don't just exit her life. You enter her memory forever. Here's a truth most people will never say out loud. A woman is more likely to remember the man who confused her than the one who loved her perfectly. Read that again. Men spend their lives trying to be the safe choice, the steady hand, the predictable rock. But in the realm of human psychology, predictability doesn't create memory. Emotion does. What share members isn't logic. It's the feeling you left behind. The man who walked away without explaining left mystery. The man who made her jealous without trying left intensity. The man who triggered her emotional chaos left fire. The man who set rules and held his line left respect. And the man who showed love then disappeared, left longing. Together, those emotions form something deeper than attraction. They form imprint, and imprint doesn't fade when she moves on. It stays. It surfaces when she least expects it. When she hears your favorite song. When someone says your name. When she meets another man who feels almost like you, but never quite does. That's the difference between being remembered and being unforgettable. Love is gentle. Obsession is silent. But impact is eternal. So ask yourself, are you trying to be liked or are you ready to be remembered? Because every man leaves a mark, but only a few leave a scar. And that scar, that emotional signature, comes from mastering what most men avoid. Boundaries, silence, depth, and distance. Don't chase validation. Don't seek comfort. Seek presence. The quiet power that says, I don't need to be chosen. I choose myself. That energy changes everything. Because in the end, it's not always the man who stays the longest that gets remembered, but the man who made her feel the most. And that is the essence of dark psychology. If this message resonated with you, don't just scroll past it. Reflect on it. Share it. Let it sink in. Because somewhere out there, a version of you is still playing the nice guy script, wondering why he keeps getting forgotten. Be the man who leaves impact. Be the man who moves differently. Be the man who doesn't need to be understood, because his silence already speaks louder than words. This is Amelia, and you've been watching The Hidden Moral. Until next time, stay grounded, stay dangerous, and never let them forget your name.